What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. We got some trades. We got some big stuff going on. Ryan Helsley. We got Tyler Rogers. We maybe got some more guys on the move. We don't have to worry about that Padres series. Forget about it.
Didn't even happen.
Doesn't matter. It's trade deadline season. The Mets went out and grabbed two big relievers on the market. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Padres series. We're going to talk about the trade deadline so far, the moves that the Mets have made, and what we can expect going to happen today on the trade deadline day when you guys are listening and watching this. As always, make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this. And if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. James, probably feeling a little bit better right now than we did a little earlier in the day when the Mets were getting their ass kicked by the Padres. That wasn't great.
I mean, kind of. It's just funny about how little I'm sure David Stearns watched the Mets game today, because in the first inning, what? No, stop.
No, this is not about us. The Cardinals got Blaze Jordan for Steven Matz. What?
Oh, okay. I mean, there's like 13 people listening to this podcast. That's gonna make a difference too. That's good for them.
That's too much. Wow. Okay, whatever. Keep going.
Sorry, pitcher market's crazy, but second inning, we get the news that comes across that the Tyler Rogers trade happens. And I think a lot of people flipped immediately because the names in that trade were big names. Yeah, Mark flipped. I flipped a little bit. You major flipped. Even Gary Cohen did a little flip on it live television.
I think it was shocking to... Sometimes we forget that like MLB Pipeline and even Baseball America and like all these publications, like while they're awesome and they give us great prospect news, that's not necessarily how a prospect is seen inside of an organization. And when you break down what the Mets gave up for Tyler Rogers, and you just look at it on a surface level for what we know, right? It does seem crazy. Like giving up Drew Gilbert, giving up Blade Tidwell, and then also giving up Jose Budo. For Tyler Rogers, who's a very good reliever, but is a free agent at the end of the year, that feels like you gave up a lot, especially because Tidwell and Gilbert are borderline Major League Baseball players, and Budo has been a pretty successful reliever this year. But when you take a little bit of a step back, and I know that you've done a lot of this recently, and you're trying to convince the people why this trade makes a lot of sense, and I'm down to listen. I want to hear what you got to say. In the Mets organization, these guys probably don't have the same value as to what they appear maybe to other organizations.
Definitely not. And then honestly, they actually might not have them in other organizations either, because, again, you just traded three of these guys to get one rental reliever. But I think, again, like it happened, it was kind of like a shock instantly, because Drew Gilbert was part of the Justin Verlander trade. You know, that's a name that's been around for a while. Blake Tidwell was a second-round draft pick. Both those guys played college baseball at Tennessee. Like, that's high-profile stuff. And, like, Jose Budo, we've been talking about for years on this podcast. He's blossomed, like, a lot. And we're going to talk about, like, the human element in the trade deadline also, like, towards the end of this all. But those are just names. But then when you kind of, like, really tear it all down on the outskirts in terms of roster, in terms of process, in terms of players, in terms of just space and movement, like this, thinking about this, like after it happened, it didn't wind up actually feeling like the Mets did give up that much. Like starting with Gilbert, and we know Gilbert had a lot of shine, a lot of it from us. We both liked Drew Gilbert a lot as a prospect, but there was some lower body injuries, there was some soft tissue stuff, there was a lack of development defensively. He was supposed to be a center fielder, never actually could be a center fielder. We were just kind of hoping he was a corner guy. He is a lefty hitter who has good plate discipline. That's really good. But it's with middling power. We literally just talked about middling power last episode, saying, like, I know he's hitting better at AAA, but there's nothing he's really done to his profile to make us think he's actually an impact guy at the next level anymore. And again, like these things change a lot in a couple of years. So right now, we have a guy in Drew Gilbert who's turning 25 years old, like a month and a half, 2 months, and he's 5% better than league average at AAA. As a guy who's not a premium defender with middling power, like that doesn't translate to a Major League Baseball player who's going to get 600 at bats, you accumulate 2, 3, 4 WAR over the course of a season. So then, and you add on top of that he was Rule 5 eligible this season, and the Mets have seemed so reluctant to add him to their 40-man roster over the last year plus. Seems like we were giving Travis Jankowski reps on the big league squad a month or so ago. Like it does seem like we were doing everything we could not to give Drew Gilbert a shot here. And David Stern still goes to the media like 4 or 5 days ago, talks about how much they've seen out of Drew Gilbert recently and how he might be a factor in the second half, and just goes and ships him off. But it's funny that, and we'll talk about the other guys, but like you kind of peel these things down for a little bit, and he kind of breaks down to not. Oh, the prospect the world moves quickly. Like, yes. Much quicker than we talk about them, much quicker than most of the people that we read and see talk about them. So I think it's important to know that from the outside perspective that we have.
Yeah, I think Drew Gilbert will end up being a very nice Major League Baseball player at some point. Like, he's going to get on base. He's going to play corner outfield defense pretty well. He's going to make contact.
Good makeup.
Yeah, for 100%, he's a dog. Like, that's always one thing we say is, like, Drew Gilbert is an absolute dog. But I think, especially with when you look at what the Mets have been able to do with prospects recently, I think when you look at some of the guys behind Drew Gilbert as well in their production that they've shown in the Mets system, it just seems like a guy who's maybe peak value is not there anymore. Like, the Mets probably got him close to his peak when they got him for Justin Verlander, and he just really hasn't lived up to that hype or value just yet. And when you can move him along with Blade Tidwell, who's another guy that, and I think when you look at the system too, they just kind of have these guys already that are younger and honestly a little bit better right now. Like Carson Bench, AJ Ewing, like these guys are just kind of better versions right
Eli
now.
Serrano.
Eli Serrano are just kind of better, younger versions than Drew Gilbert, and they don't need to be on the 40-man roster. Of course, there's always this game about how this roster management and farm system management is going to go. And then same thing with Blade Tidwell. Like in this farm system, he's what? Maybe the 6th, 7th best pitcher in the entire farm. So while these are names that we know and we feel comfortable with, and we've had a lot of thoughts, and oh wow, Mariners just got Eugenio Suarez.
Wow.
That's big.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, we're moving at midnight, literally midnight. Love that. But like as you go through this system and see what the Mets have been able to do with their prospects moving up and all these guys getting some hype, you see the names like Tidwell and Gilbert falling further and further down. And it seems like one of those situations where, especially because, and I think this is really important too, they're not David Stearns guys. These guys were brought in by Billy Epler. They were brought in by previous regimes. They're not David Stearns prospects. These aren't necessarily people that he might have even considered drafting or trading for. I think that also plays a big part in this too.
A huge part of it. And also it's a conversation with this trade specifically about floor versus ceiling. Like there were some like comparisons made to some of the other trades that were happening over the course of the day. Like the trade that we talked about on the trade deadline episode yesterday with you guys, Mr. Anthony Dominguez for, I forgot the prospect with 3 names, the pitcher that went
Jerron Watts Brown.
Yes, like that's kind of a weird would you rather situation where Jerron Watts Brown seems like he has a much higher ceiling, but also a much lower floor than any of these guys. But it's like, here's 1 lottery ticket or 3 kind of nearly capable major leaguers like at the surface, but you know what more you're getting. I think the one guy where there probably is some genuine ceiling was Blade because he has sat 96 miles an hour. I know he has a very good sweeper and a good sinker, but it's kind of like at Blade's arm angle, which we did talk about Blade Tidwell's arm angle a lot in this podcast. So how many podcasts talk about Blade Tidwell's arm angle as much as you and I?
None.
But with the steepness of his arm angle, it was difficult for him to get any vertical action, swings and misses with his fastball. And he had bad command. So if you're not getting swings and misses in the zone and your command's not good, you need to take 2 or 3 steps forward with your command to actually be an impact starting pitcher. So it probably just was a few steps there where they were like, all right, no big deal. Because like you said, like there are so many pitchers we have knocking down the door. And that's part of this all too, where it's hard for us as Mets fans to conceptualize a trade with prospects that we know that are kind of famous and it not being like a detrimental, horrible thing. Because we used to get like 3 good prospects every 5 years as an organization. Yes. We didn't have player development in the last 5 years for this team.
Drew Gilbert we used to parade around Craig Brazel, I feel like back in the day. That was like a big name. I don't think he ever even made it to the majors. I mean, Fernando Martinez, we've been scorned by prospects in the past before as Mets fans.
Because we had bad player development. We had lack of depth. We had bad process. But now that you have good process and good player development, every single year we're just drafting demons and converting them into like highly functional minor league baseball players. You have to be thinking forward about like how this roster crunch happens. And we've seen how aggressive that David Stearns has been with some of the better prospects in the system, promoting them up a level. Carson Bench right now is destroying Double-A. We might see Carson Bench in the major leagues next season. So it's just like...
You might see Carson Bench up in Triple-A taking Drew Gilbert's spot soon.
Literally, and same with Jonathan Tong taking Blade Tidwell's spot in Triple-A. And the Mets also showed their hand with Blade Tidwell this year, basically saying that we're giving him these reps because we don't really know what we see in him long term. We're not giving this to Sproat and McClain because we think that they're actually starting pitchers. So it's kind of just like having the foresight, knowing how many other prospects are there, how crowded this is getting, how crowded the 40-man roster is going to get in a few years. This is the kind of problems that teams like the Brewers and the Dodgers and the Rays have over the years because like, we have too many good players in the 40-man roster. It's a jumble before you get to that Rule 5 draft. So I think that's a big part of it. I just don't think that they saw much of a future for these guys. So at that point, it's like I can clear some space and I can get right now one of the most functionally dominant relievers in baseball for what he is. Like, sign me up for that in a second.
Yeah, Tyler Rogers is really good. Like,
it's nasty.
I think we've seen it as Mets fans in the few times that we get to play the Dodgers. I feel like he always comes in and
Giants.
Giants, my bad. That was a Freudian slip there. But like every time we see him, it's like we can't hit this guy, and the stuff is disgusting. And he's the most unique pitcher in Major League Baseball. There's no doubt. There's no one that looks like him. There's no one that throws like him. He throws like a rising slider.
There's one person that looks like him.
Well, oh yeah,
his twin brother.
His twin brother, like physically looks like him. Doesn't look like him pitching was. Isn't it crazy? They're identical twins, and one throws left-handed, and one throws right-handed submarine. How does that even happen?
And they both got traded on the same day. But yeah, I do think that Rogers, because he's so weird and because he throws like a lifty slider from underhand. What?
You mentioned it on the last podcast with the trade thing. You're like, I think the Mets are going to get a weird arm angle somewhere. They got it. They need.
Yeah, that's a good point. I did say that because Gregory Soto was near the weird arm angle. So I think we're going to get another one. And it's also funny we got Helsley, who's one of the most upright throwers in the league, and then Tyler Rogers, who's literally the most submarine guy. But Rogers, if you go back 3-5 years, like one of the lowest ERAs been reliever in the league, one of the lowest whips, one of the highest ground ball rates. Like this guy is
soft contact king.
Soft contact king of all kings. Like, but he's just super nails. Like he's throwing 83-mile-an-hour sinkers. He's not really getting any swings and misses. He's not getting any strikeouts, but he's a very uncomfortable, strange at bat. And could you imagine like an 8th to 9th inning mix up if you do Helsley 7, Rogers 8, Edwin Diaz 9? These guys are like, what the fuck is going on right now? And you mix in a Gregory Soto from the side. Like it's just, there's a lot of different stuff we have right now. Like this bullpen's taken 7, 8, 9 steps forward in one day. And I think that we can confidently say we didn't give up any super impact prospects to get us to this point.
No, the way that this bullpen looks after these 2 trades feels kind of awesome. Like really, really awesome. And Ken Rosenthal went on Foul Territory and talked about it. Everyone who's talking about all these trades going on right now, they're like, the Mets made like a huge push here. This is a like team-changing couple moves, especially because you look at the bullpen, and that was a weak spot for this team. There was no doubt that has been absolute chaos for the last month and a half. And what do you know? The Mets have not been performing well for the last month and a half, haven't been to that same standard. Now you get guys 7, 8, 9, or 6, 7, 8, 9, like Ryan Stanek, Reed Garrett, Brooks Raley, Gregory Soto. Those guys don't have to come in now in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning every single time. That line to get to Edwin Diaz is so much stronger and so much deeper. I really love what David Stearns did here. And again, I was hurt trading Jose Budo. I think there was a little more personal connection too with Budo, just because we've been believers in him literally since like the first episode of this podcast when we started talking about prospects. We're like, this Jose Budo guy might make a little impact for this team. So, tip the cap to Jose Budo, a little respect there, but sad to see him go. In retrospect, after being able to think about this trade for a while, I think the Giants got really good value for Tyler Rogers, and I also think the Mets got a really good player in without hurting the rest of the team for the future moving forward.
Yeah, I think Twitter culture demands someone being like, this was a fleece, that was a fleece. But really, just a lot of these trades are just good trades. Like, it's just kind of how it works a lot of time. And
former New York Met, Paul Gervais to the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
In that 3-team trade with the Rays and Reds. He's gonna get big outs in the postseason.
That's such a nightmare. But I'll talk about Budo for a second. Like this will for always be a Jose Budo podcast. Like Jose Budo helped build this. Like there's a personal connection, and it's cool to see a guy like him who came in this organization for nothing as a teenager, worked his way up, grinded his way through. Never was on these prospect lists. Got big outs for the Mets in a huge season for them last year. Where if Jose Budo doesn't have a strange hot stretch as a starting pitcher in April, Mets don't make the playoffs. You know what I mean? If he doesn't get big outs in July out of the bullpen, the Mets don't make the playoffs. I know he didn't pitch very well in the playoffs. Like there was some things happening there. His slider's very inconsistent. He still could be a good reliever in this league. He could probably even be an okay starter. But it's just at this juncture, making this transition from good baseball team to team gunning for a World Series, it was going to be hard to fit him on the playoff roster. Similar to how it was last year. Like he was fringy. Like there was a way you could have convinced me in a month that I would take Rico Garcia over Jose Budo in a playoff roster. But at the same time, it is still just like seeing his emotions today leaving that field, like with Jose Rosado putting his arm around him in the bullpen, like seeing him kind of get a little teary and like run away and then come back and give people hugs in the dugout. And then also probably be on the plane with the Mets going back to New York because the Giants are coming into town this weekend.
Yeah, how do you think that works? You think Jose Budo flew back with the Mets and Tyler, I keep calling him Taylor. That's going to be a really bad thing. Tyler Rogers flew back to New York with the Giants, like, or did they?
Yeah, definitely.
Did they switch cities real quick and then they flew with the team? Like, that's such a weird connection because these two teams are playing each other after just playing each other last weekend. It's so strange.
Shout out to Major League schedule, but again, like that's like we kind of forget that a lot of times. These are like human beings as well as like incredibly talented, high profile athletes. Like. That does suck. You've been one team. Even Rogers, he's been with the Giants since they drafted him in 2013. Like these are two guys. The only things they've ever known in their lives is these organizations that they played for. So that part of it is crazy. But then I think the other trade to me was
big
much
one.
more exciting anyway. We want to get the one out of the way. We want to stay chronological, but pulling Ryan Helsley, that was the let's fucking go moment. Like that was the now we're playing. And the timing of it was beautiful because there were still some colorful conversations going on about the Mets' perceived overpay for Tyler Rogers. And then the Phillies drop a huge hammer of their own, acquiring Yohan Duran from the Twins for Mick Abel and Eduardo Tate, which I think we'll get to that one in a second. Tate?
Tight.
Oh,
Yeah.
about Tate. So then it was like people freaking out. The Mets, you were like, this sucks for the Mets. You were like pulling your bullshit. Yeah, it does. But then 12, 13 minutes later, we get the notification from Ken Rosenthal that the Mets acquire Ryan Helsley. And that was like, holy shit. That was like the at that point, like as a baseball fan, like the blood should be rushing through your veins. Like you should get the adrenaline. Like, oh, we are going for it. Like this is the window. The window is open now.
My funny thing I'm going to say is like, do you remember where you were for the Ryan Helsley trade? Because I know where I was. I was at a like soiree event for social media people out in Brooklyn, and they were giving some crazy talk on a panel about like AI or something. I was super not interested. I tuned out completely. I get the notification on my phone. I'm freaking out. Someone walks to the back, sees me. They're like, "You're tweeting about Ryan Helsley, right? Like you just saw that trade." I was like, "Yes, I did." He's like, "Love the podcast." So shout out to him. Appreciate that little bump of confidence as well as being out in public there. And then James is calling me. I can't talk. We can't talk right now. We got to save this for the podcast. It's awesome. That's so sick. We've been wanting Ryan Helsley for a while. And honestly, I didn't know how realistic it was for the Mets to get Helsley specifically. I think that they were going to go after an eighth inning guy like in that kind of Helsley, Duran, Jax kind of range. But I didn't know if it was going to be Helsley specifically. I love that it is, though. He's so good.
I mean, he was one of the first guys we talked about in yesterday's episode, just about all the players that we wanted to target and trade. I think he was literally the second player we talked about in that after Luis Robert. And I think there's still a good chance the Mets still acquire Luis Robert before the deadline on Thursday. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's officially deadline day. Seeing that 7:31 on the calendar is incredible. But this is awesome. This is the best Mets bullpen I can remember. Ryan Helsley is a demon. He throws 100 miles an hour with a nasty slider. Ryan Helsley also, I've talked about a few times in the show this year. He was having an issue with the cut on his four-seam fastball because during the offseason, he wanted a little new wrinkle, a little something new, so he developed a cutter. But throwing that cutter as someone who was so over the top, it just threw with so much vertical action, with so much velocity, that cutter made his fastball cut too much. Now he stopped throwing the cutter. The fastball has now reverted back. It's been a nice, important change for him. He's got the commands of it back. He's been able to keep that ball in the yard more, and it's just he's awesome. He's a fantastic reliever. I think pound for pound, I literally said this to you guys yesterday, one of the 10, 12 best relievers in the entire sport. I can say that confidently. And just another guy that throws 100 miles an hour, which we just love having as bullpen. I know David Stearns. This is also a funny part of this. I know that David Stearns had a lot of those good teams in Milwaukee. I know that David Stearns did make a good slew of win now moves. This feels like the first time that David Stearns has thrown a bit of his inhibitions to the wind and is like, I'm fucking going for it. Like this is
act like the Mets fan a little bit right now.
This is the first time we've seen, I think, this version of David Stearns as an executive. The first time he might have seen this version of himself as an executive. So anyway, like this seems like a whole new world for him.
I also like too with Helsley the fact that he has the closing experience. So does Tyler Rogers. Sneaky, had 15 saves one year back with the Giants.
Both have playoff experience as well.
These are guys who, if Edwin Diaz has been used 2 days in a row, we don't have to push him for a third day. You can use Edwin Diaz in the eighth inning. Let's say you have some big hitters coming up, like on the Phillies, and you use Soto already in a game, and you have Harper and Schwarber coming up in the eighth. You could go Diaz in the eighth. You have Helsley for the ninth. You could go Tyler Rogers. You could go Helsley. The creativity now that the Mets can have at the end of the game, I obviously still want Edwin Diaz as the ninth inning guy getting the final outs. But they can be smart about this now. They can be strategic. Where in the past, when Edwin Diaz wasn't available, you're like, how the hell is this game going to be? How are we going to finish this game? Like we saw Huascar Brazoban get multiple appearances in the ninth inning, give up nukes. Like that was a guy we were going to. Now we got Helsley and Tyler Rogers as other options. That's huge.
And again, I did mention that Helsley he hasn't had problems with lefties, but just as a fastball slider guy, it's like he's better to face the righties. He was working on that cutter. He is mostly platoon neutral, as all of these guys kind of are now. Like he's not, there's not a pronounced Ryan Helsley lefty problem. So between him, Diaz, and Tyler Rogers, and Reed Garrett, those are your four highest leverage pitchers could all very comfortably get out hitters from both sides of the plate. Like it's a strong fucking bullpen. Like looking around the other contenders in the National League, if the Dodgers aren't at full health, and we don't know if they're going to be at full health with Tanner Scott, Michael Kopech, I think the Padres definitely still have the best bullpen, but besides them, I think in the National League, I take ours right now.
Mets are definitely up there. And
Duran helps the Phillies a lot too. We could talk about that.
yes, classic David Stearns though. Bullpen's not going to look the same at the beginning of the year as it does at the end of the year. The Mets have Edwin Diaz, Ryan Stanek, and Reed Garrett from the bullpen at the beginning of the year. Everybody else were not guys on this roster. That's kind of awesome.
Even 2 weeks ago, most of these guys weren't on the roster. Within 10 days, Brooks Raley came back from injury. Rico Garcia, who was DFA, we re-picked up. Gregory Soto trade. Tyler Rogers trade. Ryan Helsley trades. Like this is, and Chris Davinsky, we also re-signed him after he was cut as well. So it's just the constant bullpen churn has now come into something that's a little bit more cohesive and strategic. And I also think that some of the language that's come out from some of the reporters about these Mets trades and other teams around the league is relevant as well. The Mets saying specifically like this is a 2-year window. They know it's a really good chance to win the World Series. The thing that's happening at the end of 2 years, collective bargaining agreement is expiring, and there are already murmurs about that horrible L word lockout. Rob Manfred's gone around the league doing his little bullshit community engagement. Bryce Harper tells him to fuck himself.
Fuck off.
And then Max Scherzer's like, he hasn't talked to me yet. I can't wait to hear that one. But yeah, trying to beg these players to take less money so the billionaire owners can pocket more of their profits. Bob Nutting, salary dumping to Bob Castellini inside of his own division. That's just like, you should really pack it up and leave town after that one, bud. But we'll probably talk about that more later on offseason, wherever. But I do think there's a feeling around the league right now. And you saw this with the Phillies trade. Like, Eduardo Taid is a fantastic prospect. There's some places like Baseball Prospectus who are a little bit more aggressive with traits and tools. He was nearly a top 50 guy for them in their last update. And he's someone that profiles similarly to how Francisco Alvarez profiled when he was an 18, 19-year-old. So, like, that's the kind of prospect ceiling and helium that Taid has. But then you have to look, you're like, he's never going to play a game with Zach Wheeler. Why is he on this team? Like, we don't know what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years. Like, get him out of there. Let's go win a World Series.
I kind of love that idea. He's never going to play a game with Zach Wheeler.
No, he's not. Do you think he's not going to play a game with Kyle Schwarber? You might play a game with Bryce Harper. So it's like, who the fuck cares? Like, the cat and mouse game between the Mets and Phillies was a fun little subplot of this whole thing. I think that this was a fun day, even though the Mets got pistol whipped by the Padres.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it really helped me forget about how absolutely awful this series was from the start to finish. I mean, it was just kind of, I shouldn't say start to finish, from like the fifth inning
on Monday.
To the finish of it. It was like absolute hell, and I hate playing in San Diego. I feel like chaos always goes on when we go there, and then of course, like, Yu Darvish, the corpse that is Yu Darvish, rolls out of bed fucking early and just dominates the Mets today.
And even before we start talking a little bit about the series, we haven't mentioned at all the return for Ryan Helsley because we're so excited about Ryan Helsley. It's Jesus Baez, who has been a favorite of this podcast, along with Nate Dome, another pitcher I like a lot, and Frank Ellisall, someone who I know that some of our more David inclined people in the Mets community. I was talking to my guy Jack Bennett for a while today about these trades. He was like, he's my favorite sleeper in the system. I know MJD, Mikey Analysis, Baseball Prospectus, MJD Analysis, Mikey said the same thing about Ellisall. Like, these are kind of the embarrassment of riches, though, you have when you're a team that does things right. Ellisall was like a 17th round pick out of Division II, and now he's an interesting pitcher who actually looks like he could have even the most ceiling of the prospects in that trade. Like, you're allowed to do these trades when you're drafting and developing better than most teams in the league.
Yeah, no, I think for the Mets Baez is a legit prospect. He's the one where you go, he's inside the Mets probably top 10 guys in their farm system.
Right on that border. But I think that Baez, he was very meteoric last year, and this year it's been like a half a step back, or at least a step sideways, because he did tear his meniscus.
Yeah,
when any athlete tears their meniscus, it's a serious injury. We're seeing Joel Embiid go through the meniscus stuff right now. Like, a meniscus is that's a tough recovery. So a guy like Baez, that changes the ceiling and it changes the floor. When you're dealing with that, you don't really show another step, and the exit velocities kind of plateau. It's like, okay, you probably wind up just being another right-handed tweener to the next level. And again, he's a guy I like a lot, but that meniscus sucks when the guys get hurt. But it's just, you gotta get a guy like Ryan Helsley if you want to really compete in the National League. You do.
Yeah, and for the Mets, who need to make sure they win every single game they possibly can, making sure that we keep those leads that we have late in the game, super important. Sick moves by the Mets today. Well done by David Stearns, and I don't think he's done yet. I don't know. I don't think he's going to go get another pitcher by any means. I wouldn't be shocked if it's another reliever, maybe even two. But
Tyler Locklear back to Arizona in the Eugenio Suarez trade.
That's it.
Yeah, and two pitching prospects. I don't have names on them yet.
Okay, because Tyler Locklear, I know he's a big, somewhat-ish prospect, but I don't really care about that one. If I'm someone that was the big piece.
It looks like, I mean, there could be definitely, again, like similar to the discussion we're having here. Pitchers that we don't know their names are probably nasty in that Mariners, in the Mariners system.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what this comes down to. But even just to quickly talk about the series again, because even maybe a series like this is a wake-up call for David Stearns, being like, all right, Padres are a team we could very clearly match up against in the postseason,
Yes.
whether it be 3 games at Citi Field, 3 games San Diego, or 5 games, 7 games, whatever it may be. That's a team that's going to be there. And you kind of got smacked. You kind of got smacked good. You didn't really have that many good moments in the series after that Mark Vientos grand slam again on Monday night. But yeah, the Midnight Mets did not deliver in this one. I guess, a Midnight Mets trade right now during this podcast would actually be incredible. But
I'd love to hear about the Luis Robert trade coming in. Also, angry comments right now because I want Luis Robert.
Oh, I figured we would spend some of the latter part of the show talking about Luis Robert, because I think now it's like when you make that move. I also think that, just talking philosophically, again, like this is the series preview, talking about the trade deadline. A series review, talking about the trade deadline. Making these moves going this deep in for 2 relievers, I feel like makes it more likely the Mets push more chips in.
Oh, I super think so. And I also think trading Drew Gilbert, who was kind of like the security blanket, just in case maybe you give him a shot at some point in center field. Now there's no other options in center field in this Mets organization right now. It's Tyrone Taylor, it's Jeff McNeil, and it's if Jose Siri ever decides to play baseball again. You kind of like, now it's a legitimate hole. There's no questions of let's see Drew Gilbert, let's give him a shot. He's not here anymore. So it's those 3 guys that can play center field, and I guess technically Acuna, because he's on this roster and he did play center field the other day. But
he did sneak in there.
And I feel like that was for some trade stuff. Like, hey, look, this guy can play.
Look at this guy.
Woo! Look at our zesty little Whit Merrifield. He can play center. I think. Maybe I was a little aggressive. I think I texted you David Stearns trades for Luis Robert before he goes to sleep tonight. Maybe that doesn't happen, but I feel so confident he's going to be on this team by the end of the deadline.
I really do too, but I don't want to get ahead of myself, because also I think that another big reason. Who else do you think is going after Luis Robert? I can only think of one team. Yes,
Phillies, and then I'll never count out the Dodgers.
Yeah,
because they could always use an actual outfielder, not named Michael Conforto right now.
Yeah, I mean, Pages has been good, but he's been cold for the last month and a half.
But Robert doesn't even need to play center field; he could play a corner.
No, he'll play center field.
Yes, but I'm saying, if they
want,
I'm
saying he will play center field. They'll put Pages in the corner. I think.
Sure. I mean, they're both defensively.
I mean, today late in the game, I was covering the game for NBC Sports. A crazy game that the Dodgers lost to the Reds. 11 pitch battle between Spencer Steer and Emmett Sheehan with 2 guys on in a tie game, and then in the middle of that battle, Steer puts a pop-up into the tiny bit of foul territory down the left field line in Cincinnati because they brought Outman to play center. Pies kind of misreads the ball because I think mostly he's center field. He doesn't deal with that many sidewalls. He jumps into the wall, but then leans back and he hits the ball, clanks it off his glove. A few pitches later is when Steer hit the ball. But Steer's ball showed up in a 3-run homer. But James Outman went Superman above the fence and clanked the ball off his glove. So Spencer Steer got the game-winning double off of 2 gloves, basically, and an 11-pitch at-bat. But I think they're in play, but
Padres are always in play.
I guess you're right. I kind of think of this more realistically, like Mets versus Phillies, but the Mets have more. Mets have more chips.
Mets have more. It depends what the White Sox want. If they want major league player chips, yes, the Mets have more chips. If they want prospects, the Phillies, I think, are more likely to give up one of the big prospects than the Mets.
I don't know if that's true. Why do you think that? The Phillies don't have as many high level. I mean, the Phillies have Justin Crawford and Aiden Miller.
Yeah, and I think they would move one of those guys if that was the case.
Maybe if that's the case, then yeah.
He doesn't care. He's trying to win a World Series. Again, like you said, there's 2 years left. Neither of those guys play with Bryce Harper or Zach Miller. Zach Wheeler.
Maybe, but like that kind of is. I just every single day I talk myself more and more into Luis Robert. I was looking at some advanced data for Luis Robert today. Like his swing decisions have been the best of his entire career. He's aggressive in the zone. His chase rate's down. It's like
the White Sox were like, hey, buddy, we're gonna trade you this week. Can you play well? He's like, yeah, I'll turn it on. He starts playing hard and he starts playing incredibly.
Well, this was Jazz Chisholm last year. Remember, he turned it on like the few weeks before the trade deadline to show people what he had. Like, I think there's no doubt that when Luis Robert is traded, you do see a great baseball player on the other side of that deal. Like, I think that's basically given. And the Mets did really telegraph their opinions on their center field situation in the Tuesday game when Juan Soto went out with an injury, fouled the ball off his foot. X-rays were negative. He didn't play in the game. He also wasn't available on Wednesday. We got a brief reminder of what life would have looked like without Juan Soto in that game, where no one could do anything at the plate.
Be depressed.
It was horrible, but Tyrone Taylor comes in for him, and with the bases loaded and 1 out in the 5th inning of a game 1-0.
Yeah.
In the end of July, they pinch hit Starling Marte for Tyrone Taylor, then make Starling Marte come in and play the outfield. He kind of took a little nice jog after a ball in the Jackson Merrill triple. But like you kind of saw that we don't want Tyrone Taylor taking any meaningful at bats anymore. Like that's a clear, obvious thing that Carlos Mendoza just showed us. So it's at a point where you do kind of have to make a trade.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be Robert or Cedric Mullins. We know that Heyman's tweeted that out too, that the Mets have been linked to Mullins as well, that they're looking at him and Robert. They've looked at Laureano a little bit, but they're off of him because they see him as a corner guy, not really a center fielder anymore. It's got to be Robert. It's got to be that guy. I know our YouTube comment section's tired of it, but I'm telling you, once he gets here and once you see how good he's going to be, just remember that we were telling you from the April, since last year, whenever it was, how badly we wanted this guy.
Here's another crazy thing happening right now. The A's are up by 2 in the 9th inning against the Mariners, and Mason Miller didn't warm up or come in. And he didn't work on back-to-back days, and he didn't really have any big workload things going on.
I mean, that means that there's a chance he could be, not moved tonight, but that means that he's a little more available than we maybe think.
Also, the flip side, Zach Littell got traded late at night. He just fully pitched the game for the Rays and then got traded immediately after. Yes, he pitched 5 innings against the Yankees, 5 innings shutout ball against the Yankees tonight.
And the Reds were like, need that.
Yeah, get that on the team right now. But it's just, this time is just fun. This is baseball Christmas. You said the other day, like there's so many.
Andrew Kittredge.
Oh, there we go. That cleans up that Orioles bullpen even more. That's Yennier Cano getting those save opportunities for the fantasy baseball heads out there. What's this? It's just for a trade deadline where there aren't even really that many marquee or notable players moving at all. Like it's still so much intrigue, so much fun. The Guardians have to
have a full
day, the whole thing,
18 hours, I think, at the time of recording.
How mad are the Guardians that with this reliever market that Emmanuel Clase had to get knocked out for gambling? That
punching the sky.
Oh, they got to be so pissed about that. Yeah, Mason Miller has not pitched since in 5 days, and he threw 9 pitches in that appearance, and he just didn't warm up in a save opportunity for the Athletics.
That's kind of crazy.
That's kind of crazy. No more space for relievers in the Mets team anymore. I think trading for 3 relievers is, I think that hit our quota.
I mean, I'll take Mason Miller.
No shit. If there's a starting pitcher you think the Mets actually could trade for in the next day, who do you think it is?
Sandy?
You think it's Sandy?
He's awkwardly quiet right now, which makes me think that the price is, they're either asking way too much or people just really aren't interested in what they've seen from him so far.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But I also think that it's also funny, similar to all these other things. Like he has pitched well his last 2 times out. Like yeah. I don't think it's been anything that's necessarily that different to the Sandy that we've seen all year. I still think you get the further out you get from Sandy Alcantara's Tommy John surgery, the better pitcher you will see. But also at the same time, like for what the Mets need right now is someone you want to give the ball to one of the first or 2 games of a playoff series. I don't know if he's that. I just can't confidently say he's that guy at this second.
Yeah, I think he is a playoff pitcher. I just don't know if he's a game 1-2 guy for sure.
Yeah, like even like looking at his pitch plot from last night, like let's split this out from our righties and lefties. Do good podcasting here live. Like the curveball command was better. If that is better curveball that I've seen him throw most of the season. The changeup was fine. I don't know. Maybe this is this the hitter version of the Robert Jazz thing? But also that Marlins team is playing well. That Marlins team, if they actually had the real version of Sandy, they'd be knocking on the door with a playoff spot right now.
Yeah, with Yuri Perez and Edward Cabrera going.
If they had the real version of Sandy Alcantara right now, they could win the American League.
Oh, well, I don't know. Mariners got Eugenio. That's a legit pickup for them. Like that makes them very dangerous now.
Yeah, it's just the James and Markey 1 per episode fucking with the American League. But this is just I'm happy Eugenio didn't go to a National League team because all the National League teams are the only ones getting better. Like that's a big deal. And I don't know. It's also we're getting that thing that happens this time of year where like knocking on some wood with it, but some of the teams that are being quiet should not be quiet.
Correct.
Where are the Detroit Tigers? Like, where are the Chicago Cubs? I know the Cubs just got Mike Soroka, but like, what is going on?
Do we know what the 2 pitching prospects are yet? Because like Tyler Locklear, like if it's Tyler Locklear and like 18-year-olds, like in the like ACL or Dominican Summer League, like Tigers fans got to be throwing a fit if that's the case. Especially
as they're in complete free fall at this given moment. But like, it's amazing how much we've talked about the Padres series in this episode.
I got it. It is Hunter Cranton and Juan Burgos are the other prospects. I'll be honest. Not that it matters. Again, because we're not Mariners guys. Maybe they're guys like we have in the Mets system. But who are these guys?
Juan Burgos just got to AAA. He is a reliever. He's a minor league reliever, Juan Burgos.
Okay, and Hunter Cranton?
Hunter Cranton.
Because right now, that feels light for Eugenio Suarez, who is being lauded as like,
Hunter Cranton is a 24-year-old turning 25 in high A.
yeah, that's incredibly what?
That is very light.
Where are the Tigers? And then I'm going to say this too. Where are the Yankees? Where are the Phillies? Where are these teams on this?
Well, the Yankees got Ryan McMahon for nothing, so take them out of it.
True, but like also like this is still nothing as well.
Yeah, it really. I mean, again, I think that there's a lot of chirp about these prospect packages, but at the end of the day, like these rental corner guys don't go for that much. Josh Helley didn't go for that much either.
No,
the Mariners just fixed their offense for the first time in like a decade. They didn't really give that much to get them. And I do think that Locklear probably is the first baseman for the rest of the season on the Diamondbacks. I think the Diamondbacks want, because I think the Diamondbacks are a team that are not trying to sell; they're trying to retool. So I think they were like, all right, this guy might literally be our first baseman next year.
Yeah, he might give us 20 homers and like a 720 OPS. Like we'll take it for now.
Yeah, he could be a different Pavin Smith.
Yeah, a right-handed Pavin Smith, right? Tyler Locklear?
Yeah, right-handed, worst version of Pavin Smith. But it's weird. I mean, again, like this always kind of happens. These relievers are going for the most. I think there's most competition around them. Maybe there was just less competition around Eugenio Suarez than we thought. But that is a crazy light return. It's not good for Mark Vientos' value, but it might be good for Luis Robert.
Or it could be good for Mark Vientos' value because maybe it's because he has all this control. He's actually a guy that people want more. They care about what's going to go on the next few years.
I want to highlight Brett Baty as for the DraftKings player spotlight ahead of the series against the Giants. Ryan Mauricio had a huge weekend, the huge home run against the Giants that I freaked out about alone because you missed out. You pissed that part of the podcast.
Did you see Ronnie Mauricio is like the second highest OAA for third baseman in baseball this year?
I tweeted it.
Did you really?
Yeah, I tweeted that out.
TJ Stats put that out.
Yeah, I quote tweeted him. But then Mauricio had the huge home run that we wasted against Robert Suarez on Monday as well. But the reason I want to talk about Baty for this right now, like while Mauricio's kind of supplanted himself and taken that. I don't think I used the right word there. It's so late at night. While Mauricio's taken over that third base job and been amazing at it, the reason he's afforded to do that is because Baty has been so good at second base. Like those two guys have started at those two positions for most of the Mets games in the last week and a half here. And Baty specifically, his home and away splits are insane. That boy loves the hype. He needs the fans. A 905 OPS at home this year for Brett Baty, 464 OPS on the road. It's an insane split. So I think that we're going to get a big hit from Brett Baty because now that we've pushed our chips in. The bullpen is set. We probably do need another starter if we can make it happen. Still a center fielder. This whole season now comes down to this lineup that's supposed to be one of the best in baseball and has underwhelmed to this point. And a lot of this does, of course, have to come from the four guys at the top who have been not very good since the All-Star break. Pete and Lindor, horrible for a month straight. Baty, Mauricio, Vientos, Alvarez also left the game. We mentioned anything from this series. We also left the game on Wednesday. But Baty, Mauricio, Alvarez, Vientos, at least some combination of those guys has to step up and be real players second half. Like that's how we get where we want to go with those guys. I think it starts this weekend. A nice little Brett Baty home run at some point this series against the Giants.
Ooh, Brett Baty home run prop pick. I don't know if this is available, but can I take the over on Luis Robert hits this series? Just over half a hit because he's going to be on this team. He's going to get a hit this weekend. He has to. And if he does, man, I'm going to be really upset because I'm not going to be around this weekend to see Luis Robert's Mets debut, the prodigal son that I've been waiting for. I'm really putting all my chips in the Luis Robert basket.
You really are.
I need him to be a Met so badly. I've been waiting for this forever since I saw him first play as a White Sox. Hopefully we see him in the orange and blue. But Baty's been great. Baty's been so good. And Mauricio's been fantastic. Like you said, we just need one of them to continue to push forward. And this can really help this Mets offense move forward. Of course, that is the DraftKings Player Spotlight. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
All right, James, hit us with that series preview. Playing the Giants again, we're not going to talk too much about it. We literally just saw them, and we know that Jose Budo is probably going to make his Giants debut in Citi Field. Jose Budo video on the screen?
I would hope so. We have an off day in between. Let's get a Jose Budo video together. I know
Standing
some of the video
O,
people listening because I love Jose Budo. Like that's a lifetime Met. But we're going to get Robbie Ray Friday night, and the Giants are shuffling their rotation. Otherwise, for us, it's going to be
Blade Tidwell.
It could be Blade. We actually could get Blade Tidwell. And we might get Justin Verlander, which would be funny too. or we might get Carson Wisenhunt because I think he hasn't debuted yet. So he's another lefty. Wow, so two lefties. And maybe that kind of ruined the Brett Beatty player spotlight. But at least he'll start the game. He'll start the games against them. We'll see what happens. But we're going to be throwing Peterson, Sanga, Frankie Montas. You just swept this team. Let's win 2 out of 3 again. They're really we turned them from buyers to sellers in the last week. They got swept by us. They got swept by the Pirates, and they gave up one of their best relievers. And they've made Camilo Doval also available in trade discussion. So it's
what?
Yeah, they tweeted that out. There was a tweet about that today.
Whoa.
Yeah, Demon.
That's crazy. Who's going to get him?
I hope no one in the National League. I hope they have too much pride to trade. I hope us supposed to
send them to Toronto
to trade them to the Dodgers. Yeah, it's Toronto, Detroit, somewhere else that we don't have to play against the regular season. But let's get this team. Let's get this team again. I want to beat this team. We beat them last time. Great 4:00 game on Saturday. We love the 4:00 start times at Citi Field. I don't think necessarily we're going to be at that game. I think we're going to be just hanging out otherwise. But let's win. Let's win some. Start to win some fucking games.
Yeah, it's gonna be the first game after the deadline. This is where the sausage gets made. This is you start churning the butter a little bit. And
this is real ball.
Yeah, this is
August 1st. Real ball starts.
Yeah, well, are you officially on standings watch yet? August 1st.
Oh yeah, officially we're in.
Okay, officially on standings watch. You heard it here from James Schiano. We're locked in. And
we haven't mentioned the standings yet this season, I don't think. Maybe once or twice, like going into first place, falling out of first place. But that's it.
I got to do it for the YouTube titles, get some views and clicks on that.
It's true. August 1st, we're beginning standings watch.
All right. Until then, we will not talk about it. But that's it for this episode of the Mets'd podcast.
Oh, hey, yo.
Frankie Peppers.
You got Francis Peppers.
I forgot about Francis, Mr. Francis Peppers, because we got trades. I can't wait to hear what Frankie's going to say about trades, hopefully.
All right, so here's a big development with Frankie. We got the one message at 6:30. So after the Padres series, before Helsley, and then we have another 28-second message from Frankie that apparently came in after the Helsley trade. So we're going to go on a Mets journey with Frankie Peppers here. But without further ado, the legend.
Gentlemen, this is Frankie Peppers. How you doing? I'd like to start off with a little reminder that Joe Musgrove cheated in the wild card back in 2022. Otherwise, I'm excited to see our new pitcher, Mr. Tyler Anderson, in the bullpen. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do. Sad seeing Jose Budo got all emotional in the bullpen, but I know that he and the other two folks were traded. I know that they're going to do well, but I'm excited to see what this bullpen arm does, and I am leaving this Wednesday.
Leaving what? Frankie's all over the place in this one. What's going on?
I know the trade deadline is tomorrow. On Thursday, I'm excited to see what David Stern's got cooking up. Might not look like much when it happens, but the best stuff never looks like much and always pays dividends down the road. Trust the process and trust the sauce, gentlemen. Anyway, I hope you're taking care. I hope you're doing good. This heat's been horrific. No bolognese in this heat, let me tell you. I don't need to sweat any more than I already am, so I hope you boys are doing well, and I'll talk to you soon. Let's go Mets.
I can't wait for this vibe shift for the second Frankie Peppers voicemail. Here it comes.
Also, trust the sauce. That's a sick shirt. We got to get that out of shirt.
That's t-shirt material for us. But part 2 of Frankie Peppers.
Gentlemen, Frankie Peppers, how you doing? We got Helsley too? What are we doing? Stern's cooking, making some bolognese, some fresh ragu. With this team, with this bullpen, it's all beautiful. I can't wait to see what he does tomorrow on the trade deadline day. This is shaping up to be pretty nice. I will miss the prospects, but we need to push now, and it's looking good. Thanks, boys.
All right, James. I got one question for you.
Yep.
End of trade deadline day, 6:01 p.m. or whenever the trade.
I thought it was 4.
No, I think it's at 6. Whenever the trade stop rolling in. What are we looking at for the Mets? What moves will they have made on trade deadline day? Who's in? Who's out? What do you think?
I'm starting to think that David Stearns has a starting pitching move up his sleeve.
Ooh.
I don't think that all the news we're getting out. Andy Martino came on foul territory, looking like he hadn't eaten a meal in like 3 days. He was looking sickly, but he looks like he's just on the phones hard. And Andy doesn't get the best updates here. I think that the way that he was talking about the aggressiveness of David Stearns in the Mets front office, I think the way that we're seeing the aggressiveness of David Stearns in the Mets front office, the way that we've now cleared up some of this 40-man roster space, I think that we see some more aggressiveness than we're used to with the Mets going after a starting pitcher. And I think that we're going to wind up with someone. I don't know who's going to be.
Give me a name.
I'm sure. I think they're going to kick tires on Merrill Kelly. They're going to kick tires on Sandy Alcantara. I think they're going to kick tires on Edward Cabrera. I won't give you a name, but I'll give you those 3 names.
No, pick a name.
Sandy.
Okay, yeah, that's what I said earlier. You're like, who is it? I think it's Sandy. I hot take Sandy and Luis Robert Mets by the trade deadline tomorrow.
Don't tease me with a good time.
I'm gonna keep you up at night, James. That's what's gonna happen. Making you think of Luis Robert and Sandy on this team. It's a lot to ask for. I won't be disappointed if they don't do it, but I think they need to get one of those guys.
Yeah, and I think it's a good chance we get one of those guys or Cedric Mullins. I think there will be one more trade made, and with there being a trade made, Mark does his annual trade deadline stream. I'm gonna hop on there with him on his YouTube channel tomorrow afternoon. 2-ish. If the trade, I'm gonna hop on 2 hours before the deadline. So if it's 4, I'm gonna come on at 2. If it's 6, I'm gonna come on at 4.
It ends at 6. I'm on at 4.
Maybe I'll come on like 3-ish. Then I'll see what's going on with the rest of my day. I don't know. I'm gonna be just refreshing Twitter all day anyway. So
of course we're gonna be chaos.
Yeah. And then we're going to probably do another podcast tonight that comes to you guys again. Full trade deadline recap for Friday morning.
And that will probably be more baseball encompassing rather than just Mets.
Yes. Well, unless the Mets get Sandy Alcantara and Luis Robert.
And then we'll be freaking out and I'll be saying outlandish shit. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, then we're going to start going ballistic. But that's what we got for you guys. Fun week, fun day, shit series. I'm pumped for tomorrow.
Great way to forget about the series, making big trades and an off day with trade deadline. Guys, that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel if you have not yet done so. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a ring, drop us a review, download and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Shiano.
I'm Giraffe Neck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening, watching, and whatever else. Let's go Mets. Let's go get Luis Robert. Peace.
Let's go Mets.